Hey, party people, welcome to the Dental Efficiency Playbook. My name's Gabriel Hoffman, also known as the Dental Efficiency Guy. I am excited tonight to have Dickie Ball with Summit Handpiece Repair on the Dental Efficiency Playbook. Our episode tonight is Ditch the Drawer. I call it that because we all know that handpieces end up in the drawer when they're broken. So tonight, and every night on the Dental Efficiency Playbook, we bring you tips, tricks, insights, and the occasional cheat code. In the realm of handpiece repair, Dickie Ball and Summit Handpiece Repair may just be a cheat code. Dickie, welcome.
Thank you for having me, man. Good to see you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
I'm so glad to have you. Obviously, Summit, you ensure dentists have a superior handpiece repair experience that not only enhances consistency and reliability, but that your dedicated services ensure that handpieces are maintained to the highest standards, minimizing downtime, maximizing performance and longevity. So I love that by collaborating with you, dentists can enjoy peace of mind knowing they have a trusted partner committed to supporting their practice needs. That's really awesome. So
Absolutely.
tell us, obviously you started Summit Handpiece Repair in 2009. So you've been at this for a little while. What's your journey
15 years.
been? And who is Dickie Ball?
Yeah. Well, again, thanks, Gabe, for having me. I appreciate it. Man, 2009, when you say that out loud, it's like, holy smokes, that's a long time ago. Yeah, 15 years we've been in handpiece repair. My wife and I started the company back in Denver, Colorado, which is where our company was based. Last year, we recently moved to West Palm Beach, Florida. So we are now located on the east coast of Florida. Still servicing all of our clients. We didn't skip a beat there. Everything's been going good. Staying up on the edge of technology with all the new handpieces and all the new parts that are coming out, the new styles, electric, air driven, pretty much everything that's out there, we're still maintaining and we're working with all the handpiece brands. The major handpiece components, we're repairing those, fixing them for our clients, and still kicking at it. So we're doing pretty good. We're blessed to be here and happy to be on the show with you tonight.
So you traded the snow for the sunshine and the sand, huh?
Yes, sir. That was an immediate. It's funny because our daughters, we have two daughters, Annabelle and Caroline, and they actually negotiated the move with us. And they says, "Well, if we move to Florida, we're not going to be able to go skiing, so we have to go skiing once a year." So I said, "Babe, no problem, kid. We'll do it. We got it." So we go back once a year to go skiing when we go to the Rocky Mountain Dental Show. We parlay that
Okay.
into the trip, and the family gets to go skiing. So it's been a great experience. We like it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, as a handpiece repair company, Dickie, what advice do you give to both clients of yours as well as offices that may be considering, working with you or a handpiece repair company in general?
Absolutely. I think our biggest focus when working with us, first of all, we're completely honest with everything. If the handpiece isn't worth repairing, we're not going to have you spend the money on the repair. There is a life cycle of handpieces, and there does come a time when the handpieces reach the end of that life cycle. And unfortunately, we're just going to say, okay, it's time to recycle it and be done. I'd rather have you spend the money on a refurbished handpiece, which we do sell, which is a nice option for a lot of our clients.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the parts repaired, uh, we get them running like new, and we don't have any issues.
So to clarify, you do both reconditioned or refurbs as well as do you do anything with new handpieces?
Not in the new market, unfortunately. No, we don't. In the refurbished side, a lot of our handpieces, it's more to help our clients out. At the end of the day, they don't want to spend uh, MSRP, if you will, for a lot of the top brands, and really, we're pretty much half the cost of them brand new, and we're also half the cost of the manufacturer repair as well. So typically, when you get into the replacing of the turbines, we're usually about 50% of that cost. Nice thing with us is what we do is if you're little terminology. We're going to geek out here. All right. Here's the cheat code. You ready?
Yeah.
So the
No, that's
turbine
good.
itself can be overhauled. And if the bearings are bad, but the chuck is good, now the chuck is the mechanism that holds the burr, right? So
Okay.
doctors
Yep.
will call me and a client will say, "Hey, Rick, I've got this handpiece. The burr seems to slip, but it runs really good." Unfortunately, the bearings are good, but the chuck is bad. Typically, what will happen at that point, we replace the turbine, new bearings, new chuck assembly, spring washers, wavy washers if it has it, and O-rings. We clean everything up. We'll check the fiber optics. We'll check the water lines, make sure they run good, no issues. Put it all back together and try to get it back to you within a couple days. That said, the refurbished handpiece, back to that, man, they're just expensive, right? Like a lot of doctors, I mean, they probably have a small fortune in handpieces uh,
Yeah.
in their
Yeah.
drawers.
Yeah.
So, like, let's get those things running and make sure that they're at optimum performance. Absolutely.
I know I said it in the intro, but working with offices over the years, right? Geez, I don't know, 20 plus years. Um, so many times they
Right.
have three, four, five, a drawer full of old handpieces, and they replace them.
Yeah.
Um, depend upon the type that you get, right? Obviously the price
Right.
varies. But especially with the, older air driven, I think more people are going to electric
Right.
handpieces today. But yeah, so it's a problem. And because they rely on them so heavily, have to have
Absolutely.
them to do dentistry.
It's the life. It's the
Um,
lifeline of their business.
100%.
Yeah.
So 2 days is awesome with what is it safe to assume a like new model?
It's a the repair is like new. It'll run as good as new for sure. The biggest thing is that the 2 to 3 days. I say that with the caveat: the 2 to 3 days is for the air driven, and some low speeds and some hygiene hand pieces. Electric
Okay.
hand pieces, they take a little bit longer. Typically, we're getting those done a little bit faster than the competition for sure. I've
Okay.
heard of some companies taking as long as a month to 2 months to get these guys back to you.
Wow.
That's just, yeah, I don't understand how that's not even acceptable in my opinion.
Yeah, so I'm not super familiar with the timeline. I just know
Yeah,
that it's a pain. I know what the offices say when they have one that's out.
right.
I can remember when I was in operations and sometimes how long it would take to get
Yeah.
one back.
You'd hear
So
about it, right? You'd know.
yes, correct, correct. But I would just get them out and say, "Hey, these need to go wherever to be repaired."
Yeah,
If I left it up to a number of my team members or doctors, they would just end up buying new. So that obviously we had a group practice, so I had to be on top of that. But with that
right.
being said, um, yeah, that's awesome. So like refurb versus new. I mean, just give me an idea. Um, do you, do you give a warranty on those?
Absolutely. So you'll get a warranty on the refurbished. Typically, depending on the handpiece, it'd be anywhere from 6 months to a year. The 1 year warranty is going to be on any of the Star 430 lube frees that I sell. I have some
Okay.
clients, particularly female dentists. They absolutely love them because they're smaller. Ergonomically, they just feel better for petite hands, if you will, and that's absolutely acceptable. And it's a brilliant design. I personally love them. They feel great. Um,
Okay.
Mind you, I don't use them clinically, but when I'm repairing them, they're awesome. They're just a great handpiece. So those would be a 1 year warranty, but typically everything else is a 6 month warranty. Absolutely.
Okay. And so I know it's hard to do, obviously from a repair standpoint, because once it's back in the office, everybody treats them differently. But with that being said, do you, when you do a repair, is there any kind of like inherent or actual warranty for the repair?
Absolutely. So on the warranty side for us, when we do the repairs, if we do a bearing overhaul, a turbine replacement, there's a 6 month warranty that comes with all of those repairs.
Okay.
Again, the only one in the industry right now that we're giving out a 1 year warranty is for the Star Lube Free, and that's a lube free bearing. Does
Okay.
not require lubrication. It's kind of set it and forget it, do your thing, work it until it
Doesn't.
dies.
Okay.
If it fails within 1 year, you send it back to us, and we cover the bearings or the chuck under warranty.
Okay.
Typically, we don't have a lot of warranty repairs for those because they are just we use good products. That's another thing. We're not buying inexpensive parts from overseas that are not made for use in the United States. That's a big thing right now with the gray market and the black market, if you will, with
Oh,
eBay and
yeah.
different hand pieces that are out there. Although yes, you can buy them, um, they're not quality hand pieces to use. Unfortunately, they're not all
Okay, let's
created equally.
yeah, I was gonna say, let's talk about that a little bit. What about new hand pieces, right? Even the big names,
Yep,
right, on the market versus some of the other options. How do you know what components are in what, right? What you're getting internally. You do when you take them apart or when you service them,
of
right?
course.
But yeah, can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So a lot of our industry has changed. They have gone more budget friendly. They're buying hand pieces, if you will, in the gray market, so to speak. They're made overseas. They're not regulated for use in the states, and that's a bad deal. Unfortunately, they're out there again. Yes, are dentists using them? Yes, because I get them in my office. Unfortunately, I can't do anything with them because the bearings that I use are worth more than the actual handpiece price that some doctors are buying these at. And it
That's crazy.
happens. Uh, but I'm not it. I'm not it. I'm not willing to put my company's reputation on the line, and I don't think the doctors should put their license on the line.
So
But
how do you mentioned education, right? Being a partner. What does that process look like if somebody has sent you hand pieces for repair and they can't be repaired, right?
absolutely.
How do you what does that process look like?
So what'll happen is, and this just actually just happened yesterday. So I had a new client of mine, sent me a handpiece. Says, "Hey, check it out. We do an estimate evaluation on the handpiece." Took the handpiece apart. The inside components, the stock turbine is different than what's in the handpiece. So the parts didn't match up. I took it a little bit further. I looked at the printing, and basically how it works is on clone or fake handpieces, basically counterfeit handpieces.
Oh,
What they will do is they will try and impregnate the metal with the right print, and it's it's impossible to know if you don't know, right? Looking at it, I said it's
interesting.
a fake. I said that's why nothing matches up. It's a complete fraud. My doctor was like, "Well, I kind of figured when I bought them because they were only $42 a piece or whatever."
Oh,
I'm like, if you're buying real Cavos or whatever major brand for $42 a piece, then you're probably not looking at an authentic handpiece, if you will. So there's that
yeah.
side of it, and obviously, always
Okay.
buying your handpieces, buying them from a trusted, preferred vendor.
Yeah, Dickie. So let's talk about that a little bit. You mentioned that not all hand pieces are created equal. Tell me about that. Like with new hand pieces, what is the difference and how would someone know like what components go into them or what they're getting when they
Absolutely.
purchase one?
So as your handpiece repair guy, my biggest thing is to know the counterfeit or fakes compared to the real ones. A lot of the fake ones or counterfeit ones are bought in gray market by online retailers that are they're selling them and people are buying them up. Practices are still using them today. I understand the need for affordable handpieces. The problem is those handpieces are one, not quality handpieces at all. Two, are not even actually used. Sorry, they're not actually available. Oh, man, killing me. Where was I? See
They're
this?
not available.
Okay,
They're
so
fugazis, huh?
they're fugazis, exactly. So these handpieces are out in the market. Clients are buying them up. Practices are using them clinically. And the problem is, if that ever injures a patient, something happens to that handpiece, and injures the patient, you're
It's
not going to
huge
have
liability. Yeah.
huge liability. You just open yourself up to litigation. So,
Man, oh man, I did not even realize. So like what are we talking about here cost wise?
cost wise, yeah, if you're buying a handpiece for $100 from a retailer online, it's not from a local a local dental rep, if you will. I don't care what company it is; they're all good companies. The big three, the big four, they're going to supply you the best handpiece with real quality from the national brands we know and work on. The handpieces that you're buying on retail line or online retail, they're not worth it. It's not worth the risk. And I have clients that use them, they send them to me. And the unfortunate part is I spend more in shipping.
Uh, so I want to clarify that just for a second because there's all of the dental equipment and dental supply um, companies have an online purchase option. You're not referring to those. You're talking about online stores, merchant sites, and
Correct.
buying things that most likely are overseas that may look like a certain brand, but the components inside are fake. They're not
Absolutely.
not high quality, and there may be 10 or 12 of the exact same one with a different, slightly different name on it or slightly different look
100%.
to it, like one of those.
Yes. And if you're buying a 10 pack of those for $100, I
Oh,
would
wow.
probably not. Yeah, I would sway away.
$10 a piece. Hey, if you're spending 40 or $50 a handpiece, you need to question, right? Should I be using this on my patients when I use it for every filling, for crown preps, for,
Correct.
high revenue? I, like you should probably invest in a good quality refurb of a real brand, real parts,
Real deal.
or get a brand new one and call somebody like Dickie Ball himself to guide you to what he sees all the time that maybe are the most durable or the most resilient and easiest to maintain.
Please
Uh,
do, because I listen. I get hand pieces all the time. Just had one last night. Unfortunately, I had to inform the doctor. I said, "Doc, unfortunately, this is a counterfeit." I asked him where he got it, and that confirmed what our suspicions were. So at the end of
oh
the
wow.
day, just make sure you know what you're using. That it's quality hand pieces, quality components that are going in them. Um, you gotta make sure you're covering your practice and your license. Don't cheap out on that.
Wow. That's that's so important. It's so good. I'm glad we talked about that because honestly, I didn't even think about that prior to our talk tonight. I know that more and more offices are using online merchant sites that have jumped into dentistry and to get their stuff. And that's a big concern is, are you actually getting what you think you're getting or you're paying for, right?
Correct.
Um, not again, not what the description is, but what is, what you're expecting to get that you may have gotten previously. I think that's pretty important. So, the chuck just pops open and out flies a diamond, a burr. I mean, like
Not
that's
good.
the last thing that you want, right?
Not good.
So I understand what you're saying when you don't want a patient to aspirate a burr.
Right.
I'm just sitting here thinking about it. 40 some odd dollars for a handpiece, like, seems pretty logical. You should know that that's just not right, right? Like if it's used from a friend and they're like, yeah, that's a little bit different. You can verify where it came from,
Right.
but buying it quote unquote new for 40 some
Yeah. And don't
probably should
quote me
stay
on
away
the
from that.
price because I've seen them as low as $10. So
That's nuts. That I mean, come on. Your fillings, crowns. Do you service surgical handpieces?
we do. So yes, so we do high speed, low speed, electric, surgical, endo, pretty much
Specialty as
anything
well.
that is going
Okay.
in a patient's mouth, we repair.
Okay. Awesome. Obviously, I know surgical and endo handpieces. I based on my experience working with specialty offices over the years, they're pricier, and but when they need them, they need to
Oh
be
yeah.
workhorses. Like they
Yep.
need to be in tip top shape, whether
We
you're
put them.
cutting teeth or doing a molar endo.
Yeah.
You can't have lag or a lack of power in
Absolutely.
those. So
And the big thing with us
super
is,
important.
quality control is huge for us because at the end of the day, I mean, again, we're a family business. My reputation's on the line, and I'm not going to compromise my reputation for anybody. So
Wow,
going to get
that's a
the hand.
great point.
It's going to
So
be good
when
time.
you do a repair, you're going to evaluate it first, ensure that everything is legit, that you can repair it, and when you repair it, it's going to go back a whole lot better than it was received, right? It's going to
Oh,
be in
100%.
working condition, look better,
100%.
sound better, run better.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, again, what so quantify like, again with the episode being ditch the drawer, if someone has
Right.
3 handpieces sitting in a drawer, um does it make sense for them to say, "Hey, maybe I should send them to you and see which ones can be repaired versus
Yep.
buying 3 new ones?"
Absolutely. I think so. What we try to do is, again, being advocates of education, we are trying to teach our clients to manage the PSI properly,
Okay.
maintain them with lubrication properly.
Okay.
A lot of doctors, I shouldn't say doctors, a lot of the staff doesn't know that an autoclave machine, it's regulated. It has to be calibrated every 6 months, depending on the brand. So what
Oh,
works out for us is saying three things. So we're going to check the PSI. A lot of my clients, they'll say, hey, it's not cutting right. The burr is dull. So they crank the PSI up or whatever the case is. If I could
right.
get it last up to 110 PSI, man, I could retire. But it's not going to happen. Optimal PSI is anywhere between 32 and 41 PSI for these hand pieces on the air driven side, right? So proper PSI is always a plus. Let's make sure that that's correct. Let's calibrate that and make sure it's good to go.
Hmm.
The sometimes lubrication machines come into play. So you have a lubrication machine that does what? Automatically takes the handpiece, it lubricates, puts the oil in it, dispels it. Good, no problem. Sometimes that machine's not calibrated properly, or it runs out of oil.
Oh,
Someone
yeah.
misses the
They
can, misses the
don't
reservoir,
change the
that things
can, sure.
happen, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's there's a lot of variables that come into making this smooth operation, if you will, um, operational, right? So the PSI, checking the autoclave, making sure the autoclave is
That's a good point.
it's got to be calibrated because two things happen. If it cooks at too high a temperature for too long, it's going to totally kill the bearings no matter what, right?
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
like that's a huge issue sometimes
Yeah.
too. I
Sounds
had
like an
one practice.
expensive, situation.
Yeah, oh, it's a big situation because when a client's calling me and they say, we have 10 hand pieces and they all went down, that's culprit number one. That's where I go automatically. So now I'm on the phone with them, or if they're local, I'll go to the practice and hey, like let's look at this, and I'll take it
Mhm.
apart. And within seconds of me opening the handpiece, I can tell, okay, this handpiece it was cooked for too long and too high heat. And it happens. It's the nature of the beast. Unfortunately, it happens. But
I would think that happens with a relatively high frequency only because I know, on the maintenance of autoclaves or just sterilization area,
right,
recalibration is not as readily done as the draining and
right,
the basic maintenance.
right.
Um, so
And that falls under
that's
that basic maintenance area, right? So the PSI,
yeah, there's a lot of gray area in
auto,
basic
right?
maintenance, right?
It's like, man, all the things that can go wrong, and it's amazing that a lot of practice. I will say, a lot of my practices, they are so good at it, and those are the clients that they're like, okay, my hand pieces run great. I haven't had any issues, and ultimately that's my goal. When you're working with me, I don't want you to send your hand pieces to me. I want you to be able to use these effectively with no issues, with no repairs, no continued repairs. You know what I mean? I know it
That's a
sounds kind of
fantastic point. I mean,
yeah,
the education, I hadn't really thought about the depth of the education, right?
yeah,
Beyond, um, you know, I want to clarify because I think that's a fantastic point, Dickie. That's value add. Like, not just the education on the handpieces, but on the like, whether that's your lubrication machine, whether that's your and the maintenance thereof, or what your checks and balances to make sure that's working properly, to your
Right.
autoclave, which is run each and every day, and what's the maintenance there.
Yep.
Um, you know, that's just something that I don't think gets talked about enough. So it's amazing that you do that, that you break it
Yeah.
down like that and you look into that. Saving them money, not only on the hand pieces, but on those other pieces of equipment as well.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, I mean, you have a surgical. Let's just say a surgical handpiece. Round number 2,000. Let's $2,000. That's probably on the lower end of one, right? But surgical handpiece, if it's not properly maintained, those repairs. So my comparison, a properly maintained surgical handpiece is in the ballpark of anywhere between, I'll say, $299 to $499.
Okay.
Compared to one that is not maintained properly and the PC goes out, the board is bad. I mean, there's all these other components that are in that surgical. I mean, I've had some handpieces that are dang near the cost of new for a
Wow.
repair. And at that point, that's when again, we're going back and I'm having that conversation. I'm saying, hey, look, we've got a handpiece here that is $1,200 worth of damage and repairs, and you could probably buy a refurbished one for $1,500 or $1,600. That's where I want to add the value to my clients, being completely transparent and saying we're not going to repair this handpiece. Like, it's abused, it's too far gone, and the lack of maintenance is an issue with my end on my business because of the fact that, yeah, when bearings go out, okay, there's really nothing you can do about the bearings. But when there's other components, you have gears, in the electrics, you have gears, you have small canisters that it's a mini insert gear that basically connects everything together. If that fails, that's additional cost, and it's maintenance that
Oh, of
should be
course.
completed to reduce the cost. And that's my job as your handpiece
Huh.
person to say, hey, this is what I found. This is where we're at. It looks like lack of maintenance or excessive PSI or whatever the case is. And that's why I have no problem geeking out on the handpiece stuff, because this is my world. This is where I'm at.
Yeah, I think I've shared this with you previously, but like when it comes to equipment, while I'm technical to a certain level, it's operational, right? Like from the standpoint of use, not
Yeah,
diving into. And I mean, I did have to change a couple components in a handpiece when in my group when uh, you know the doctor handed him to me and he's like, "Hey, our assistant couldn't do it, and like, can you make this happen?" But that's about the only time I ever did that.
right.
But with that being said, I think checks and balances on those processes are super key,
Yes,
right? Like, not only is it does it happen weekly or does it happen at whatever frequency it has to happen, daily or weekly, but who's checking, right? Who do you have that's accountable to making sure that that is happening, right? And I
that's the
think
great
that's an
question.
important distinction.
Yes. So and I always use a comparison with a lot of my clients. They'll usually if they have a decent amount of staff, and I get it. Not every practice has the personnel to do it. They'll have one person that's designated to sterilization. They have one person that's responsible to make sure that all of that happens. Well, if that one person is on vacation for a week,
Then what?
Dickie's getting a phone call and they're saying, "Hey, all of our stuff went down. I don't know what's going on." I'm like,
uh,
"Well, where's Sally?"
man.
"Oh, Sally's on vacation." Well, here we go. And then and it happens. It happens more
I
often than
know
I
it
care to
does.
admit.
It's just I mean that's not only is it expensive, but there's the headache of it and the shutdown and the inability to do, to provide good care, which is why I think it's very important that we're talking about this
Absolutely.
because um, you know, I think you're providing all the justification as to why someone would want to use Summit Handpiece Repair for the repair, right? The additional value. Do you charge for the education? Do you charge for, walking them through those other aspects?
No, so what we'll actually do, and I'm speaking on this, which is awesome, at the Florida Dental. association meeting in June. So I have a 2-day
Oh,
class.
awesome.
I I cut it down a lot, but basically what I'm able to do is I get the class. I will go into your practice. If you're local here, I will go to your practice and have a lunch and learn. And it's absolutely free of charge. And I sit with your staff and I get rid of all the misconceptions and I just tell them, I say, hey, look,
That's awesome.
what did you think was correct or in your way of doing it? And it's basically just to get the education out there and saying, the way that you're doing it is not completely incorrect. You're just missing a step. Or, hey, we're going to get a separate unit so that we can expel the oil instead of doing it chairside, because obviously nobody has the time to do that. But it's just a
Right.
little unit to expel the oil on the top. It's simple things. It's inexpensive. The teaching is absolutely free. Another thing that we're doing is right now we're getting a CE course online that is
Oh,
free to
great.
all of our clients. And it's the maintenance course that I would teach at a lunch and learn online. It's absolutely free. It goes out to the clients. You guys email me, say, hey, I want this. I email it to you with the password. You guys have used to it. You give it to your entire staff. It's absolutely free, no charge. Free
Videos?
PE course for free. It's pretty good. It's a value. It's an added value.
Is it our videos?
It is an online video that you will take, and it's broke down in, if I'm not mistaken, it's 3 sections, and then there's a quiz at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's great. So an online course
Yep.
coming. When can people expect that?
That I am working.
Oh, no pressure. I'm just
No pressure, no pressure. I am working on that right now. That is something, again, we're trying to work on that right now as far as an online video CE course. But we have the course. The course is supposed to be going active at the end of this month. And that's completely you take it online. And a lot of people, they don't, a lot of my clients, they don't want to go to the conventions and they don't want to take time. Hey, it's expensive. I get it. Take your whole team to a convention. Man, it's a lot of money, right? This is going to be an option where if they want the course, they want the education, they can get the class. It's taught at their leisure. They can take it at their leisure, and it's value. It's going to teach them how to properly take care of it. When Sally's out of town and doctor doesn't know what's going on, everything will be implemented. If you follow the directions, you're good to go.
I would, yeah, no, that's great. I would add that if your practice is such to where you have the funds to take your whole team to a conference and make an event out of it and
Absolutely.
invest that into them, and it will pay dividends in return though, because investing in your team builds your culture, strengthens your bond,
100%.
empowers them to, to really engage in your practice on a deeper level than when they're not. So,
Oh, yeah.
I tell you that because I just was speaking with Devin Geeson about that, as a matter of fact, because she
Right.
highly invested in her teams, and she is the pep talk doc, and she
Yep.
coaches
Love Dr.
teams to do
Geeson.
that
She's
all the
awesome.
time, or docs to do that all the time.
Yep.
So, you know, uh, having having had that discussion, I can think back to, when I was managing teams, and whether that's empowering them or giving them projects or sending them to a CE, even if it's a day course.
Yep.
I understand it's pretty expensive to throw them on a cruise or go, fly across the
Right.
country, but there's other things you can do that are going to further engage them. And then when you have to ask Sally that, hey, can you make sure that before
Right.
you leave, Jamie knows everything about handpiece repair,
Exactly.
then she's probably more apt to do it because she's 110% engaged. I
100.
say that with a
100%.
disclaimer that if Sally is a real in a real office that you were referring to, I'm sorry, Sally. I wasn't trying to put you on the
Yeah.
spot. Uh,
That's funny.
but no, good stuff, Dickie. So how how would someone like why would they want to work with Summit Handpiece Repair versus another company? And then B, how would someone go about doing that?
Sure. So I think what sets us apart, honestly, from other companies and manufacturer repairs, if you will, is definitely the price. We are, I would say, probably 40 to 50% lower
Oh, wow.
than OEM manufacturer repairs. And I say that because I know a lot of doctors, their value, right? Added value. If you're saving X amount of dollars here on handpiece repair, what did that just do? That just increased the value of your practice. You're bringing that
Mhm.
up, and you're saying, okay, well, I was paying, let's say, $600 for an electric repair or $700 for an electric repair. That same repair could be $299 to $399 with me. So the
Oh,
value
wow.
is the cost, and the parts that I'm using are high quality parts. They're not junk. It's not cheap stuff. Again, I am very prideful of what I do for a company, and it's my company. I'm the
Yeah,
tech.
that's great.
When
So
you
great.
call, I'm the guy that answers the phone. It's myself or my wife Kelly, and we're here and we're in it and we're doing it. We're on the front lines for you guys, our dental clients. And at the end of the day, to reach out to me and say, hey, even if you have a question, I don't care if, I mean, there's no such thing as a stupid question. And people obviously, oh, well, ask. You don't know what you
So,
don't know. So at the
Dickie,
end of
what's
the day, it's, hey, a burr is stuck. What can I do? Okay, well, here's what we're going
yeah.
to do. Let's troubleshoot whatever the problem is first. At that point, if you're saying, hey, I didn't get, okay, send it in. I'll check it out. We'll get an evaluation on it.
Wow.
I'll let you know what it is. We'll give you an estimate. We'll tell you exactly what it's going to cost, how long it's going to take, and then you get your handpiece back and you're all set.
Wow. So, what is the best way for, someone if they have questions, they want to reach out,
Sure.
or maybe, they're thinking about, hey, I want to implement the maintenance that we were talking about tonight,
Sure.
or maybe just have a conversation, right? What's the best way to get a hold of you, Dickie?
Yes. You can call our office.
Okay.
Our office phone number is 877 342-0101. That's our toll-free number. And you can also visit our website at summithandpieceexpress.com. There you'll find a
Okay.
complete list of everything that we have, all of our prices, all the repairs we complete. There's an orange tab on there that says send us your handpieces. You can send us your handpiece. You generate a label, United States Postal Service. It's a prepaid label. It's right there. You don't have to pay for anything. It just charges my account. You're good to go. And then send it in. You fill out a work
Wow.
order. You get a work order that is printable right there on the website. Just fill this
Yep.
guy out. You keep a copy. I get a copy, and then send it. Use your box. Just tape up the box real good, and then we'll let you know if it's able to be repaired. If it is, we'll give you the estimate. We'll know exactly what it is. And the other thing is, we're a no pressure. Like, if you use us, obviously we want to earn your business, but we're also here again for the education side of it. So ask away. We're here to help. Like, let's get your hand pieces operating the way that they should be. That way they're not a problem. That way they're all good and you don't have any problems with your hand pieces. That's our
Gosh,
goal
I
at the end of the
I
day.
love that, right? I mean, beyond the fact
Yes,
that
sir.
you're using fantastic components, you know what you're doing, you put your heart, like everything into the best repairs. The
Yes,
pricing is great, the additional education, but you're kind, friendly, and doing everything you can to continue to earn their business as well.
absolutely.
That is why you need Summit Handpiece Repair and to call Dickie Ball. Um, so no, Dickie, it's been fantastic. I mean, honestly, you've had me in our conversation tonight, you've had me thinking, man, maybe I'd like to have a handpiece to I remember using a burr to just work on different things that I needed
Right,
to work on when I had the practice, right?
right.
Or to polish my ring or my waist ring. Just different things, right? Random
Of
things.
course.
Uh, but yeah, that's amazing. I'm curious. Quick question before we run. What percentage, Dickie? How many times do people reach out to you for a new refurb before they've done a repair with you, right? If they want to get a refurb handpiece.
Absolutely. So again, the refurb, that's kind of something that I offer my clients when they've reached it. And I don't have a great source, if you will. I have a couple hand pieces. So to be clear, It's the refurbished handpieces is for the doctor that says, "Hey, I've got this handpiece. It's just not working right." They send it in to me, and it's more of an option to say, "Hey, you've got XYZ handpiece. Well, I happen to have XYZ handpiece." I would say they're probably about, I'd say it's 50-50 as far as buying refurbished. Well, definitely refurbished purchases and repairs far exceed buying any new handpieces. I mean, I'm
Okay,
always of the
great.
mindset, again, the quality is there in the handpiece. If you have any of the major names, any of the major brands in the handpieces,
Yep.
absolutely. If it's repairable, cost effectively, again, cost effectively. You
Okay,
get a
sure.
handpiece, you send it to me, and it's got a damaged head. The head's dinged up. The end cap's bad. The fiber optics are shot. We're probably looking refurbished handpiece or new handpiece.
Okay.
That's one way to go. That's one thing that I have done that, and my clients like it and they appreciate it. So it's
Yeah. No, no, no. That's so good that
serving.
I asked that question because if I didn't want to be sending anyone your way that for a refurb handpiece before
Right.
they come for a repair.
Of course.
So
Of course.
yes. Dickie, thank you so much for joining the Dental Efficiency Playbook tonight.
Thanks for
I've
having
really
me.
enjoyed speaking with you. Uh, we we obviously will have this episode should air next I believe next Friday,
Okay.
which will be the 13th. So if you're watching this and you're interested in anything that we talked about tonight, you can always reach me at the Dental Efficiency Guy on Facebook or any of the social channels, or you can reach Dickie at Summit Handpiece Express.com or at the phone number that he previously provided. Uh, Dickie, thank you so much. Talk to you soon, my friend.
Appreciate you. Be well. Thanks,
You
Gabe.
too.